What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today, going over some indicators and different charts. As you can see, we still have our bull flag playing out, but now in the post-market, I guess pre-market, it's the after hours on Robinhood. If you just take a look, I just like to look at it to see where MSTR is currently at. Currently sitting at 358. You're not going to see it here on TradingView or on other platforms. Robinhood is one of the few platforms that has the overnight market, or whatever you want to call it. So we're sitting at 358. We're still at that support level right now. Definitely expect some kind of volatility, maybe to the downside or to the upside. We could get a large move to the upside and rebound quickly, or we can continue falling. And then that puts us right in the area that we spoke about when we were talking about this move over here being the same as what we're experiencing now, where we have this move up, a drop back down to the upward sloping trend line, which coincides with this Fibonacci zone right here at the 0.5 to the 618, the golden zone right here. And that is a key level for support in the bullish direction. This is a bullish pull, and that's a bullish direction for support right here. And this move is starting to look the same as we speak about it every single day. We can see that we had that move up, a nice aggressive move up, and a move down, just like we can see here. But it's the move down is just playing out a little bit different. It's going sideways, and now we're potentially getting our drop. And then if we pull out our fib and you look, we're not too far off from the golden zone. The golden zone's at about 331, 332. We're sitting at 358. So we're sitting at the 382. We could potentially fall through and hit that golden zone. We'll see if we get a little push down during the open, and then maybe we shoot back up off of the support, off the golden zone. That coincides with this upward sloping trend line, and that upward sloping trend line is also the bottom of the channel. So these two moves look very identical, like I've been saying for the past 2 weeks. I was saying initially I was expecting a move like this, but as I started to look and started to see the pullback, it started to give me a reminder of this move, and that's kind of where I'm thinking that it's going to play out like. And that's pretty much what's happening right now. We had the move up, pull back. Currently, we're sitting at the 382, so we're currently in this spot right here. If we are comparing move to move, we're sitting in this area right here, and then we pulled back a little bit further, and then we ended up moving up higher. So if we pull back to the golden zone and then move up higher, still works out pretty well. It was a pretty much like a V-shaped recovery, and then we ended up breaking that local high here and shooting up higher. So hopefully we get something like that, and we break this local high here, and we break this golden zone that's been a pain in the butt to the downside. It's been a lot of resistance. I mean, you can say what you want about the war and everything, but I mean, it happened right at the golden zone, so I don't know what to tell you. It is kind of funny sometimes where you see how these political events happen at these perfect levels on different charts. Like it's pretty wacky. Sometimes you're like, man, how is this so perfect that this pullback happens exactly at this zone? We have a war right at this perfect zone where we're gonna find resistance. Like I don't even understand it sometimes, but anyways, that's beside the point. This golden zone is a bearish pull. We were saying it when we were down here that once we got up to this point at the 0.5 to 618, because remember, this is a flipped golden zone, you can kind of use this as an extension, and this was going to be a bearish direction, and it's pushed up. We got rejected multiple times over the past couple weeks. As you can see, this is a weekly chart, so we've been spending 1, 2, 3, about 7 or 8 weeks here at this level, just getting rejected nonstop, and now we're sitting at 358 in the overnight trading. Of course, things will change as the market opens at 9:30, but currently we're sitting at 358. 358 takes us a little bit closer to that SMA. Maybe we make contact with it, maybe we don't. We're only 5 to 6% away from hitting the weekly SMA on the 20. The 20 would be a very strong level of support. Hopefully we don't lose that. And on the daily, we're still compressed between the 20 and the 50. But if you're talking about sitting at 358, then we are well beneath the 50 and the 20. And we got rejection off of that. And our next level of support, like I said, is this horizontal level with this upward sloping trend line. Now over to Bitcoin. So we've had a nice little drop ever since we had, the geopolitical issues going on with Iran. I don't know if that's 100% the reason, but I'm taking a guess that is. Sometimes, like I said, these things come at the perfect times, and that's just how things play out. But we have closed underneath this key level of support here that we were holding pretty well. And we closed at 100,000. We closed slightly underneath 101K. So now your next idea would be to push up to this key level, potentially get rejection down to that 99 level, and potentially find some resistance and then make it to that 96 level. If we continue the momentum to the downside, right now, we touched this level of support right here at about 98.3K to about 99, and we found a little support, but we'll see if this turns into a push up, turns into a wick, and then a red body of the candle that fills this wick here. So we'll see if that happens. If we do break this 98.1, then I'm like 95% sure that we will hit 96K. Right now, this was a minor level that was kind of stopping price from hitting it. As you can see, we got that rejection. But if we do break 98.1, especially if we get a actual close on the daily or weekly, we should definitely see 96K. So keep that in mind. I'm still open to that idea, but I can also see us having a V-shaped recovery, because a lot of times whenever there's geopolitical tensions, these things turn around super quick. So we'll see if we even have enough time to make it down to 96. Usually you need a little bit of more time to get a significant drop. But as you can see, we had this downward sloping trend line here on Bitcoin right here. We started establishing it, and then we kind of just fell off from there. So we'll see if we can get back into this trading range. This is the key range that we're looking at here. This is where we want to be. We want to be in this zone here. Somewhere in this zone, we want to be trending upward and back down, creating that bull flag. I still think the bull flag's intact, so I don't really think it's too much of a concern yet. When you take a look, you zoom out, bull flag is still well intact. Nothing's changed. You draw that out right there, and you can get your measured move. We'll put it on the weekly so it's a little bit easier. Measure that out. Maybe that's our bottom right there at 98.2 or something like that, which would line us up almost with this target that we have at about 146K. So maybe that's where Bitcoin decides to go. As we break the all-time high at 112, we should potentially find some resistance here at this upward sloping trend line that we've connected these tops over here, and it falls all the way back to these tops here. So that could be our next line in the sand as we continue up in price. And if we do break that zone, I can see us breaking it, retesting it, and then pushing up to higher levels. And then back to another point that we've been speaking about multiple times, where every time we break a local high, you can see we run up. Hold on, let me put this on the weekly actually. So when we break local highs, you can see when we break a high here, when we get to that next point that we stop at, it's about anywhere from 45 to 50%, roughly. And then you can see from this high here to this one here, about 48%. And then if we want to measure from this high to this last local high, it's about 47 to about 50%. So if we were to continue the trend that we've been seeing established all the way since January 2023, if we take the same measured move from this local top here and we measure it out, you could be sitting at 154 to about 164. So, and remember, this is just a general idea. Nothing's guaranteed in the market ever. Anybody that tells you something's going to happen for sure, they're full of shit. So, yeah, there can be increased probabilities. Like I said, I feel very confident that if we get a close underneath 98.1, that we'll see 96. Like I can say simple stuff like that, but calling like exact price targets and saying, oh, this is where it's going to go for sure, that's BS. This is full price discovery. We have no idea where things are going to go. So if we pull this fib here off of this first leg, if we just have a small leg here and we take that fib, you can see that price has kind of just been hugging this 1618 level around 94K, or 95K. That's kind of been the average of this entire move. And if we were to measure out this next leg here and we take it to the bottom, the 1618 lines up perfectly with this line that I have. That's why I have it drawn out, which is around 145K, which kind of lines up with the idea that we've been doing with a 40% to 50% from the local highs, just undershooting that target that we had. But we have a couple things lining up to that point right there. So we'll see if we can start hugging this 1618, and maybe if we do exactly what we did here. So let me take it back here. So as you can see with the 1618, you can see we're kind of just playing around this zone. The 1618, we're playing above it, back below, under, and so on. So if we were to take the same thing here, and if we were to kind of mirror that move, maybe it looks something like that 165, back underneath to 130, and back and forth, kind of something like that. Maybe that's our next stop as we create another bull flag, as you can see, and then we break out again. If we get a right translated cycle, of course, like I said, there's so many things that can come into play, like bombing Iran. You know, that takes a toll on the market. It does different things. Things happen. So we don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict those things, black swan events, anything like that. If inflation decides to spike back up, which I don't think it is, it's going to continue its trajectory downward, in my opinion. But if things were to change, then it can change it from a right translated cycle, which would be a peak, Q4 of 2025. It could change it to a left translated cycle where we peak a little bit earlier, maybe August or September. If the unemployment rate spikes dramatically and we get a very aggressive spike in the unemployment rate, or if, like I said, inflation starts to ramp back up. So, or geopolitical wars or whatever is going on. So I don't really pay too much attention to that stuff. I mean, you can't really do anything about it anyways. So it's nice to know what's going on, but I wouldn't sit on it too much. And now we actually have a pretty significant push up on Tether Dominance, which we definitely don't want to see. We got a very solid close here above 5. We're sitting at 5.1, currently at 5.11, and we pushed all the way up to 5.27 and got a little bit of a rejection. So hopefully this turns into a wick. We retest this level and then we push back down. So if we were to push back up to this level, then that means Bitcoin's going to get another drop. But yeah, that's kind of what we kind of said that we were breaking out right here, and it looks like that's exactly what happened. We had that drawn out, played out pretty well. Obviously not for us MSTR and Bitcoin holders is not good, but we kind of had an idea it could potentially come after we started to see it break out a little bit. So hopefully we can start to see some downside, like I said, some resistance here as we meet that and chop a little bit here, break back through, retest, and then fall back to this level at 4.7 or something like that. And then continue our trajectory downward, because it was looking pretty well, it was looking very nice. But on the bright side, I'm going to pull this fib here just off of the eyeball. It looks like it's at the golden zone. I haven't done this ahead of time. It is, yep, right underneath the golden zone. It didn't touch it, but it's close. because it's just a retracement of about 50%. So it looked like it was about half of the move. So it looks like it pulled up to the golden zone and got rejected. So maybe, just maybe, we're potentially going to get a nice rally on Bitcoin because we're running into the golden zone to the downside. It's a bearish move. So a bearish golden zone, when you push up, you can find rejection and then fall back down to further prices. And once we touch this blue line here on Tether Dominance, that's when we're more than likely going to get our local top on Bitcoin. Because remember, guys, Tether Dominance is pretty much showing you stable coins, risk off, going to risk on, and back and forth. That's pretty much what's going on. So as Tether Dominance goes up, it's showing risk off. That's bad for Bitcoin. As Tether Dominance goes down, that's showing risk off to risk on. So you're going from risk off to risk on, which means you're going from stable coins and people are flowing into Bitcoin. So always remember that. And I'll overlay Bitcoin so we can see that for ourselves right there. I'll zoom out a little bit. I've talked about this plenty of times already. You can see the tops that we've had on Bitcoin. That Bitcoin's here in pink. When you find the local tops, it's whenever you touch this blue line here. So whenever you get a pretty significant drop, you can see that you find your local tops here on Bitcoin. So you can see that red dot here lines up with the top here on Bitcoin, at least temporarily. Like I said, local tops, local top here, local top here, local top, and so on. So I would imagine that if we get another drop here, then that would take Bitcoin much higher, and then we fall and have some kind of sideways consolidation or chop, and then we continue up to higher prices. But overall, I don't think anything's really changed. It's just geopolitical stuff. This is part of every single cycle, every time. There's always something that's going to be part of the headlines that's going to drive price up or down. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just dollar cost average in, keep your head down, keep your emotions in check. Don't make any irrational decisions with your money based off of your emotions. And I think you'll be okay. Not financial advice, of course. Like and subscribe, share with a friend. I'll see you guys in the next one.